Welcome to another episode of Markets Dawn Europe, an audio podcast on financial markets for European-based professionals. A minimalistic solution to the information overload in mainstream and social media. This is what you need to know today.
Morning. Thursday's key market event was the US CPI inflation update for September, showing a modest deceleration to 2.4%, the lowest since early 2021, but slightly above consensus. The core CPI reading came in at 3.3%, a touch higher than a month earlier, and also above estimates. Overall, these figures suggest that the Fed remains on track to cut rates again next month. Markets are pricing in an 85% chance for a 25 basis point rate cut versus a 15% probability of no change at the November 7 meeting. Market sentiment was somewhat muted, with US equities closing modestly lower, the dollar and bond yields barely moving yesterday. On a week-to-date basis, the greenback is approximately 1% higher against majors, yields a little changed, and stocks are firmer by more than 1%. Fed officials' reaction to the inflation update was mixed to dovish. Chicago Fed President Goolsbee said interest rates need to drop a fair amount. NY Fed President Williams said he expects monetary policy to move to a more neutral setting, while Atlanta's Bostic said he was comfortable with keeping rates steady at the next meeting, depending on how data developed. The minutes from the last ECB meeting showed a cautious mood on further policy easing due to still stubborn price pressures and disappointing growth. The central bank next meets on October 17, and a 25 basis rate cut to 3.25% is almost fully priced in, with a similar move in December also widely expected. In weather updates, Florida avoided the worst-case scenario, as Hurricane Milton did not trigger a catastrophic rise in seawater levels, as it crossed the state into the Atlantic, but left over 3 million homes and businesses without power, and at least 10 casualties. Fitch estimates the insurer's losses at $30 to $50 billion from Milton's damage alone, which added to Hurricane Helene's losses, would take the total to over $100 billion in Florida for a fifth consecutive year. The French government delivered next year's budget, with a target to cut the deficit to 5% of GDP, via spending cuts of €60 billion and tax increases to the wealthy and businesses. It needs the approval of a divided parliament. The country's debt is expected to reach 115% of GDP next year, with interest payments as the number one government expenditure. Fitch will review France's sovereign rating today, and Moody's will do the same in 2 weeks. The 10-year OAT yield spread over bonds has widened 24 basis points this year, to 77, for a 3.02% yield, in line with Spain, but wider than Portugal. The Bank of Korea cut interest rates by 25 basis today, to 3.25%, as expected, its first rate cut in more than 4 years, to revive growth as a deteriorating economy slowed inflation pressures. Also, Peru kept policy rates unchanged at 5.25% versus expectations for a cut. In business news, Tesla unveiled its two-door robotaxi, Cybercab, which plans to produce in 2026, with a tag price of less than $30,000. The EV maker also announced a 66% annual increase in sales in China's domestic market. In DCM, Belgium's postal company bpost issued 5 and 7 year senior bonds in euros, rated single A-. Economic data today: GDP, industrial, manufacturing and services output in the UK. The final inflation reading in Germany. PPI inflation and Michigan's sentiment indicator in the US. The US Q3 earnings season kicks off today with JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, BlackRock, and Bank New York Mellon reporting before the market opens. European futures are pointing to a positive opening in early trading. In Asia, China's equity rollercoaster continues today with a 2% drop, while other markets are little changed. It's a holiday in Hong Kong. That's all for this week. Thanks for your time and enjoy your weekend.
Visit laconicbriefs.com to subscribe to our newsletter, including this audio podcast with an extended script if you prefer to read, plus performance tables and charts, all in one place. Delivered straight to your inbox every morning, Monday to Friday.